Hey, good morning, everyone. So we'll be starting in a session. So we're expecting a few more participants to join. I hope you can see my screen now. Okay. So last couple of days we were discussing about cloud computing. We had a discussion about like difference between a on-premises, difference between a co-location one, how the cloud community has been introduced, and we discussed it a couple of cloud computing terminologies. And yesterday we have been completed like how to access also. Then we have seen all Microsoft Azure core resources. We understood the difference between resource and a resource group also. So today I'm taking into a different topic that's called uh, Azure Compute, and we'll try to understand about Microsoft Azure networking concept also. So this is a couple of fundamental resource or a service which has been available in the Microsoft Azure. I hope whatever topic has been covered last 2 3 days, it's been clear, and I hope you don't have any questions or a concerns or a doubt regarding that. If you're good with whatever topic we have been covered yesterday, and if there is no question, I request you to comment it on the chat window so we can able to move to the next topic or a next module. So I request everyone to just comment it on the chat window. Is whatever topic we have been covered yesterday is well and good. So request everyone to comment it on the chat window. So request everyone to just comment. Yeah, it's been a fabric resource FC. You're talking about the FC or you're talking about the Azure Service Fabric model. Okay, Azure Portal Workaround. It's been good. Yeah, Azure Fabric model is a kind of a distributed platform. This generally using for like in case of a containers or a microservices generally it's been using. So basically like if you want to move or if you want to do some development or a management of the cloud native application, then generally we used to use for a service fabric. So basically, like it's included database or a Cosmos DB or a Power BI or Intune or a event Scribe kind of things been part of this one. So it's typically a container kind of a service. So today let's have a different discussion today. That's about the compute one. Now let's consider a scenario. you are working for one of the medical search company. It's been like you are responsible for managing a on-premises servers, and you will be migrating the existing server into a cloud. Now, in the medical search company, you are responsible for managing the existing infrastructure. Now we got a kind of a request or a kind of a concerns from the team saying that we need a n number of web services needed in the organization, and whatever web service has been currently it's been using is getting a kind of aging, or we are facing a lot of issue for struggling for saving a data or latest big data or artificial intelligence or other analysis tools are not compatible with the existing infrastructure. Now, these are the couple of concerns right now we are getting from an on-premises one. So you need to understand some kind of a solution which we can mitigate this kind of a concerns in the on-premises one. Now, all of us, you may be facing this kind of issues in your organization, like you may be facing a hardware related aging issues, or there are some couple of data analysis applications are not deployed in your organization, or it's maybe not compatible with your organization. So we are trying to consider one scenario. With the help of that, so with the this case study, we'll try to see how we can able to migrate this one. That's one case. Second case is been like you have a organization. They have a different branch offices. It's been scattered across the globe, and if they want to centralize their all the infrastructure into one location, and they don't want to send a resource into different regions. For example, like we have one office in Canada, one office in Australia, one office in central India or in North Europe. So yeah, my organization is thinking a kind of a strategy, saying that instead of sending a resource to all these countries, let's have a centralized location where I can able to manage all the IT infrastructure. Now, this cloud Azure compute resource or the cloud solution will be discussing like how we can able to address this kind of a concern. So you may be already having this kind of infrastructure in place already in your organization. You may be having a multiple office that may be connected using a router, or that may be connected in a different branch offices. So let's try to bring all this solution to one side. Or you may be having a different operating system may be running, a few servers may be running with the Windows, few server may be running with the Linux, and you may be having a lot of challenges also, like a patching you may be doing with the help of SCCM, or if it in the case of a Linux, you may be using a satellite kind of a tool also. So now your business is growing, and you want all the internal servers which mean needs to, and the database also to be put in one place, and there are some development team is going on. So based on the requirement, you may have to provision some couple of servers also. So we'll see how we can able to do with the help of a compute solutions. So these are the two cases I'm trying to simulate, or I'm trying to discuss today, how we can able to address this kind of a concern in the customer place. Now, do you have any other kind of a similar situation? Anyone else also has been face this kind of situations in the customer place? Or do you have any other challenging currently you're facing, which may leading you to a kind of cloud migrations? These are the common situation you're right now it's been facing in organizations, right? I hope you're agreeing with this point. Now let's try to understand how this can be able to manage this one. Okay, so how this can able to manage, or how this can able to uh, address in the in a normal operation point of view. Now, in this topic, we are trying to understand about a one uh, common resource on uh, in a common resource is called Azure Compute. So yesterday when we had a discussion about all services, or it's been like we had a discussion about the portal management. We have seen like there is a n number of services are supported by the Microsoft. So it's been very difficult for us to discuss all the 100 plus services in a detail in a configuration view or configuration mode in this event. So we are just trying to pick one or two services which is been relevant for your day-to-day operations. Now the first topic we are trying to discuss here about the Azure compute one today. So you already aware about the virtual machine concept, right? So when we had a discussion about ISaaS or a PaaS, we understood basically there are four service models you have, right? You may be having like a ISaaS or a PaaS or a SaaS, and this how this is been defined. It's based on the scope model, right? Because when you are taking a data center stack, you have a different layer of work or it's been responsibilities been coming, right? You have a responsibility of a physical center or a network or a responsibility like management of a physical servers or application management or a database management. Now based on where you are getting an access or from which layer onwards your action is been coming. So based on that, you have a uh, different types of the service models you are. Have something known as ISaaS. ISaaS is means completely um, um, it's a kind of a combination of the CSP plus user, right? You may be having like a few activities being managed by us, especially the OS onwards, you are getting an accessibility. But in on-premises one, end-to-end activity was managed by us only, right? So you have a management of just give me a second. So in the ISaaS or a cloud uh, definition class, we understood like ISaaS is been like a kind of a model from the uh, compute or layer onwards we are getting an access. But when it is in an on-premises one, end-to-end was handled by us, and in a colocation one, the vendor has been responsible for uh, power or a cooling kind of a mechanism. Now when it is coming on in a Azure compute, that the first resource we are considering. So Azure compute having a n number of services is in place, right? Which includes virtual machines. So you have a virtual machine scale set or a batch reverse, or it's been a cloud service, right? Now, if you connect it to your Microsoft portal, let me take you into your Microsoft portal, or uh, I hope you can see my screen now. Just give me a second. Let me take you into the Microsoft portal window. Give me a second, so you'll be able to see where you are getting this option. Give me a second. It's asking some OTP numbers. Right now, I hope you can see my screen. Now we have connected to Microsoft portal now. In the portal, if you're taking to all services, you can able to see the different category of the service Microsoft has been offering. So in the left side, you may be seeing an option called compute one, right? So you have an option called compute option has been available. Now with the help of that, you can able to see it's been Microsoft option has been coming, right? Right? You have a compute option you are seeing, right? So when you're seeing on a Microsoft compute, you can able to see there are different services been offering here. Like you have a virtual machines, virtual machine classic, function, or app services, or a container instance, or a disk, or a OS. There are a number of services is been Microsoft has been offering under a category of a compute one. I hope you can see the screen now, right? So you may be able to see there is a number of a service which has been connecting with a compute. It's been listed here. Now, based on your user requirement, you will be able to go or you will be able to configure the rest. So typically, if you're taking a Microsoft Azure compute, the compute service or the compute solution is been handling a disk or a processor or a memory or a operating system related kind of resources. So basically like the virtual machines, all these components is been connecting with a compute one. So this typically like how you've been involved or be creating inside in your on-premises one. Like if you're taking on-premises, generally if the customer is looking for a kind of a solutions where they need some kind of a solution, something like they want a physical server, or it's been or a Microsoft or Windows Server 2003 or a 2008 or 2000 R2. Generally, we used to create it or we used to deliver the or in a physical mode, right? I hope you are already aware of that, right? How generally it's been delivered inside in a normal method. So now when it is coming on a kind of a situation like I'm just giving a scenario, like typically if you want to run an application, how generally we'll be delivering this one. It's been like I'm just giving a scenario like you are a user and you want to run a SQL or a Oracle solutions in your organization. Now some customer has been approaching you. Now you can have a kind of a solution like a rent, or it's been like you can take a rent for a rent, or you can have a core for a VMware or a Azure virtual machine. So you need to have a this kind of a machine is being generally on it's been running on a physical server, right? Now I'm just giving a scenario. um, let's go back to whiteboard. Let's try to understand how this has been practically it's been coming in your organization. I hope you can see my whiteboard now. Let me take you into the whiteboard. Let's give a scenario. It's like you're working in an organization or in your uh, customer place. You got a requirement saying that Mr. X has been approached us saying that I need a VM or I need a computer with an SQL database. Now let's take in a scenario in a normal in a customer place. Right? If someone has been approached you and asking like a kind of a VM, typically we will be ordering a VM, right? So like how generally it's been doing in a customer place. If anyone has been approached to us, we may be asking a configuration, what exactly you need in the customer place, right? So based on that, you got a physical server. Now you took a physical server. First, you will install an operating system, and on top of that, you will install your application, and you will provision and you will give it to a customer. This is the existing on-premises approach we were doing in a past. I hope you're agreeing with this point, right? Any different thought you have? Anyone else? It's anyone having any different idea? I hope you are agreeing with this point, right? No comments. No one has been commenting on the chat window. It's been like I hope it's not Friday today, right? It's a Thursday only. So I hope you are agreeing with this on-premises approach, right? Yes. So you got an answer like Azar is saying like yes, he's agreeing with the on-premises one. So let's wait for the rest of the members also to comment. So the session will be more interactive. So I request everyone to at least put your view or a thought. You can debate with me, no issue at all. So in case if you have a different thought. Now this was the situation in the past. Now later point we came with another solution that's known as a hypervisor kind of a situation, right? So you will have a physical server will be available. On top of that, you will be installing your hypervisor, and on top of that, your additional VM will be created. This is the mode. Later point we were all using in a customer places or in a data center. Now, when the situation is being changed and we be moved to a cloud, whenever you want to implement or whenever you want to deploy any kind of a solutions or in a VM or in a cloud, typically this is going and creating VM inside a physical host only. So it can be in N region or a X region or a Y region. It's been based on you are selecting. Now you have clear about this. So right now you're I mean aware of this kind of a model. Now when it is coming on a Microsoft Azure cloud, the topic is going to be the similar kind of a option or the similar kind of a approach. So you can able to you can able to see here it's like you have a model like this was the model in the past, and later then we used a concept called virtualization. Now you'll be able to see the virtual machine has been configured or it's been in a mode. You'll be able to do it's in a virtualized mode. Now the first point you need to remember when you somebody talks about Microsoft uh, Microsoft VM, The virtual machine or the compute which you are creating inside a Microsoft Azure, generally known as a virtual machine. The term or the terminology we are using inside this one, like the computer or which you are creating inside Azure, generally known as a VM. It's called a virtual machine or a VM. This is the technical term generally we are using. So it's called a virtual machine, right? I hope you may be knowing like in a VMware kind of a concept also. We have using this kind of a term. Now, VM is something like it's a Azure compute. So for an end user, right? Yesterday we have created a couple of a VM. So for an end user or a client, is not going to understand the whether the virtual machine or a compute which you have been created in Azure. Like for example, like you created a Windows Server 2003 or a 2019 or a 22 on a Microsoft Azure. For an end user, is not going to recognize is it's been configured in a Microsoft Azure or it's in the backend solution it's been using. So typically it's been like a kind of a mode. It's been provided. Now we got in a question like, is it a more commonly called virtual desktop? No, virtual desktop or a VDA, that's a different concept, Paulo. It's been not VM1. VM and virtual desktop are a different topic. It's been a different topic and different concept. It's not the same. Maybe at the starting name we have a common virtual is there, but virtual desktop and virtual machines are it's a different one. The way it's been working, the way it's been configured, it's been totally different. So if you want to know more about a virtual desktop, there is a certification code I remember that's called AZ140. This is a certification program or this is a module or the training session you can attend or you can refer it. So that is beautifully explained. How this can be configured or what is the support, what is the difference between virtual machines and VDA and VM. All this is point has been discussed over in that topic. Now let's come back to this our topic. So end of this session, you need to understand when you are creating a compute or it's in a computer in a Microsoft Azure, generally that is known as a Microsoft Azure. That's called Azure VM. And you have the end user is not going to feel like it's been like it's been running on in a physical computer or in a normal Azure server. Now, you may be already aware of that. This is the typical configuration of the virtual machine, right? So you will have a physical server and you will be installed a Hyper-V or a VMware. And on top of that, the virtual machine or the guest operating system, the terminology generally we are using is called a guest operating system. So you may be having a guest operating system is been available there. So you'll have a guest operating system is been placed. Now, when you're moving to cloud, the only difference you are going to face it's been like previously whether if you're using an on-premises one or a virtualization one, the physical host was being purchased by you and the physical host was managed and maintained by you. So that there's one change you're going to face it. So you're not going to be responsible for that. So it's been everything it's been managed by the Microsoft. It's been, or the it's been the cloud service provider in case if you are using any other third party one. Now that is the traditional way of working. Now I'm just sharing a kind of a screen here. So right now you can able to see I've been posted or it's been updated a top view of a VM, how this has been uh, can be configured in a Microsoft VM. Right now I'm just given a single top view or it's in a representation or a IAD diagram of a VM on in a Microsoft Azure. For example, like if I have delivered a VM on a Microsoft Azure, along with the VM, you will have an additional disk is been created. What is the purpose of a disk? It's been using for creating an operating system, right? You need to have a uh, can that be enlarged or shared on the chat? It's maybe a bit different. It's I tried for that. It's been like I am not see. Is there any option for enlarging that image? I may have to edit my presentation. So, uh, is it too small? Because I have a secondary monitor here, where I can at least, because when I'm delivering a session, I'm just looking to the other monitor also. But I'm feeling like I can able to view. There is no much issues. I hope for everyone, it's been able to see the pic which is been uploaded on the PPT, right? Can you just confirm it on the chat? If you want in a separate in a chat window, uh, I tried for that. Zoom has been working right now. Yes, so it's been yeah, it's been coming after a few minutes, right? Right now it's been all okay. I already zoomed it, Mr. Itself. It's been like it's zoomed PPT only. It's been showing on this one. Now, if you want, let me. This is the maximum I can able to do it. This is the maximum view I've been already shared. I already pressed the control and this. Maybe due to some latency, maybe this pic maybe came bit late. I hope it's been able to see right now. I already done. So this is the maximum I can do because it's not going. It's like see, it's not going. I tried my level best. Now you may have to. I mean, yeah. Now it's been much better. We can spend. Okay. Now, right now the on the screen. Right now on the screen, what we are seeing, it's been like we have implemented a VM. Uh, Along with the VM, there is a couple of other services also. It's been created. Like you have a disk is been created, you have a managed disk we have, and you have a couple of DNS and public IP address also. It's been created. So this is a normal or it's a pictorial representation of VM, like when it is been coming in a production scenario. So when you implemented a VM, along with that, a number of resources been created automatically. Now we'll try to see one by one. So end of this session, you want to understand if you're using a Azure VM or the Azure virtual machines, there is a couple of benefits you are getting. The first benefit is like the operating system you are going to use, or the virtual machine which you are running on a Microsoft Azure. The hardware part, it's not maintained or it's been not managed by us. So you don't need to worry about the technology refreshment of the hardware. You don't need to worry about how the firmware or the hardware, but the firmware version currently it's been using. So end-to-end management of the VM is been handled by the CSP, and you are going to pay only for how much time you are utilizing that server, or what is the configuration you are using this one. For example, like I've been created a VM with some configuration called 2 CPU, or it's been 16 GB RAM or X throughput. So I need to pay only based on the configuration you are selecting. Let me show you that. Uh, I'm reconnecting back to my uh, Azure portal. Right now, I hope you can see the screen on the of Microsoft Azure portal. I'm just giving a difference here. Right now, if you can see my screen, I'm trying to discuss something about the price tag part, right? So I was saying like whenever you're creating a VM, based on the configuration, there is a slight change has been coming. Right now, you can able to see I'm selected a Windows Server 2022 data center version. You may be able to see there are different image or a configuration you are able to see, right now you can able to see per month cost for this VM is been coming around 6,000 rupees INR, because right now the currency or it's been the country which have been selected for my account, it's been from or it's India only. So my friend has been from India and he's using it. India is the country and the location is been selected is been rupee. Now if you're making any kind of a changes, I'm just giving another configuration. you may be able to see the price difference has been coming, right? 6,000 rupees now has been changed to 24,000, right? Previously, I was using a different configuration. Now, the moment I been changed the configuration of my VM, the price tag has been got changed. What is the reason behind that? Any idea? The reason behind that it's been like admin has been selected a different configuration. Yes, not an additional feature. We've been gone for an additional configuration or a better hardware configuration. That's the reason Microsoft has been added additional configuration for that or additional price or a commercial for that. So right now you need to understand whenever you're going for uh, any kind of Azure compute resource, the first benefit which you are going to get, it's been like underlying hardware, or it's been like the base hardware, it's going to be managed by the Microsoft. Second one, it's been like you are only paying for whatever resource or the configuration currently you're using, and you don't need to pay anything extra for that. You can deploy Linux, or you can able to deploy the Windows or any additional server which has been available on the server. So it's not that only Microsoft Azure has been supporting only Windows. No, when you go to Microsoft Azure Marketplace, you will be able to see all the operating system it's been supporting. Let's go to the Microsoft Marketplace. You may be seen yesterday, like the moment when you selected a filter tab or it's in the marketplace, you can able to see all the Unix or all the Linux flavors also. Right now I'm selecting Unix. If I'm typing here, you can able to see there are different Unix flavors, operating system or component or service is been available on my system. You can able to see here, right? You have a FreeBSD available, you have a Ubuntu has been available, you have a other Linux flavors also it's been available on the portal. So uh, right now you need to understand it's not that only it's been supporting Windows operating system. No, you have a provision to deploy both Linux and Windows based configuration. So it's been supporting both the operating system. Now people may be getting a question like in which kind of a situation we can go for configuring a virtual machine. So typically when you want to go for any kind of a virtual machine, it's been like if the user or the client is been thinking like they need to go for configuring some physical server, or is a solutions where you need to have a complete control over the operating system, because they don't want to worry or they don't want to go for anything kind of a privilege or a permission issues, and they want a complete control over the operating system, then you can go for a kind of a virtual machines on a Microsoft Azure. And if you may have to run some legacy operating system, or you may have to run some kind of a custom software, then that kind of a situation you can go for some kind of a virtual machine which has been supporting virtual machines. So you have an option has been available. So there is some kind of a situation like if you want to get a complete control over your operating system, then that kind of a situations you have an option. So I hope it's been clear, right? So in case if you want to get a complete kind of a situations, complete management of the operating system or a computer if you want, then we prefer you to go for some kind of mode where you can have a complete uh, control you are getting on the system. Now let's try to understand about how to create a VM on in a Microsoft Azure. So like you may be going to handle a Windows server, um, or a Microsoft operating system on a Microsoft in a Azure portal. So how to deploy this one, or what are the point you need to remember this one. Now I got a question is here like from Eric saying that is there any license how this is being included? You can use the existing license also, so you'll have some kind of a cost reduction you will be getting. So it's been like in case if you are already have a license, you can use that. In case if you're not using that license also included in the payment. So it's been already included in this one. So you can able to see that difference when you are deploying the operating system. It's both options you have, Eric. Now, right on the screen, you are seeing like a top view of how the virtual machine is being implemented. This one. Now, I'm just covering some different aspects here because end of this event or end of this program, you may be going and deploying a virtual machines in a customer place or in your organization on your college. So you need to understand how generally this has been working or how this generally has been deployed, right? So let me give you an overall summary of designing part here. It's like what are the components or how generally or it's been implemented or what are the factors generally you need to consider when you're going for any kind of implementation. The reason why I'm covering this topic here today, because when you implemented an VM on a Microsoft Azure, that's going to be live or that's going to be moved to a production infrastructure. Now you implemented a VM and after a few days, you cannot go back and say to your leadership or a management or a client saying that, hey, I was doing some lab and I done some mistake on a server. We need to reconfigure. We cannot inform this kind of reasons into the customer, right? Because when you implemented a VM on a Microsoft Azure, all the aspects needs to be checked, all the points to be validated, or the configuration also it's been configured in a proper way. We cannot change a reconfiguration of a system once you've been moved to production. Yes, we can do it, that's the other side, but for doing any kind of a reshuffling or a reconfiguration, this one, you may have to go for a lot of challenges. You may have to get a approval from a business, you may have to get a approval from a user. There are a lot of n number of action needs to be performed that. So before going for any kind of a deployment, so deployment is the terminology generally we are using in a customer places, right? If you want to install operating system or install a VM, generally in a cloud scenario or a cloud discussions or a topics or a books or a blogs or a discussion or in a meeting, we used to use a terminology called deploying a VM. Only very rare case only we may be using a term called, hey, install a VM or I need to create a VM, right? uh, so so we can have a discussion on how this can be configured. Now I got another question: should we have a Azure firewall? Yes, Microsoft Azure firewall is been supported on Azure portal. This is a separate resource. You can have you can configure Azure firewall for in case if you want to do any kind of a traffic management, like in case if you want to go for any kind of a inbound or a outbound rules to be configured or managed. In that kind of a situation, you can able to go for a Azure firewall. It's not a free product. There is a some charge and price tag is here available. So once it is configured, you will be able to configure a couple of rules or a kind of uh, restrictions or a traffic management. It's a typically it's a stateful firewall. Generally, you will be able to have an option for a network rules or a application rules or a application rule or a network rules, and you have option for a natting also, like a source nat or a destination nat or some website if you want to block or some IP address if you want to block. All that kind of activity can be implemented with the help of Azure firewall. So in a nutshell, Azure firewall has been supported and that is been considered under a network resource and it's been considered under a network security product. I hope it's been clear to you. Any question on that Azure firewall? Now we got uh, uh, a funny question like is there is one entrepreneur in the chat window has been looking for creating some on porn site. So how to use for creating a website? Yeah, you can go for all the legal approval first and you can start your own site, and you can use a WordPress kind of options here. So you can go to marketplace and go for uh, WordPress or a blog. You can create your own website. It's like a WordPress and give some nice name and so create it a WordPress here. So you can create your own porn site, you can create your own technical site or a non-technical site, whatever you want, you can be able to create it. But if you want the site to be active, you need to have a nice content on that. Yes, Azure Firewall. Good morning. We have a separate charge you have. It's been like you can go to a Microsoft portal. You may be seeing like there is a based on the in and out, how much data it's been charged. So you have a charge is been available. Basically, I remember like there is a two uh, mode of it's been supported, the standard and uh, premium one price. So you can have a pricing, you can able to see there is a charge is available based on which mode you've been created. Typically, you'll have a standard and premium options we have. You can able to configure it here. There is a charge we have. Ahad, for your information, there is a two type of a firewall kind generally we are using. One is called Azure firewall. That typically we will be using the perimeter side. It's called external wall. And internally, we'll have another concept called NSG. That's called Network Security Group. That is a free of cost. That generally it's been using like in a network level or in a VNet level. If you want to do any kind of a inbound or a outbound traffic management, we can do. Then you can able to go for NSG. So NSG is a kind of a internal firewall that will be configured in a subnet level, and that can be mapped in a VNet level also. So uh, Paulo is asking, is there any firewall on the host OS? Host OS generally will have a Windows firewall is been by default, it's been available. On top of that, if you need additional firewall, you may have to go for some kind of antivirus. Most of the latest antivirus having a firewall option is available, or you may have to go for a Windows Defender kind of a features or a product, or you may have to enable NSG kind of a firewall on in a VNIC level. That will give you all kind of a firewall feature on the host level. Can we set up an Azure what specific public IP address access my VM? Yes, that can be able to do. Which mean like by default when you created a VM, by default there is a public IP address is been assigned. So that's only a dynamic public IP address is by default is assigned. Now in case if you want to configure any specific IP, you can able to configure either it's on NSG level or in a NATing level also you'll be able to do it. You can able to do that. Now, public IP address has been generally a costly product because there is a price tag has been available. So generally, in an operation point of view, by default, all of us may be knowing when we are creating a VM. By default, there is a public IP address has been assigned to all VM. So in a normal operation point of view, we will be limiting the public IP address. So how to connect to this internally or a internal web server or a machine? It's either through a NATing, or you may be having kind of a bastion kind of service will be enabled in a infrastructure. Any other questions or a doubt? If you're good, requesting you to post it on the chat window. You don't need to pay for hour. Why? It's based on like the how much GB has been generally it's been using or it's been transferring through the firewall. So it's not need to worry about maybe in the if you're seeing the deployment, you may be seeing like in every hour. That's maybe confusing one. So typically you need to understand based on the how much GB generally this has been processed and what is the time of model it's been using. So if you're seeing this one, you maybe also got confused. When I have seen firewall few years before, me also have gone through the similar kind of a situation. So nothing to worry about that. Don't they get confused also. Right now, you need to understand firewall is an external product. There is some price tag is there. It's generally it's based on the how much GB it's been transferring or it's been using. Based on that, there is some cost is involved. Don't get confused right now. Okay. Now let's take it 5 minutes break. After break, we'll be moving to a concept core, deploying an operating system. Right now, we have been seeing how the deployment is being done. So next 15 minutes we'll discuss about the checklist part. Then we'll see like how to do a implementation of a VM. So let's take a small refreshment break, 5 minutes break, and come back sharp 5 minutes. Okay. So we have many topics to cover today. So let's take only 5 minutes. Thank you. I hope all are back. Now, before break, we were discussing about the concept of Microsoft Azure VM. We understood it's been like a kind of a resource which you are going to configure it in a Microsoft portal. Now, when we are going for configuring any kind of a VM configuration, generally I used to follow some kind of a checklist. The reason why I'm using this one, it's like uh, after implementing or after deploying a VM, I don't want to go for any kind of issues or escalation from a client saying that, hey, I need a different configuration, or the expectation was totally different, or I'm not done any kind of a mistake also. So whenever you're going for any kind of a option on or a kind of a deployment, I request you to follow some kind of a checklist. So you can able to follow, this is a one model, or this is a one checklist I used to follow. It's be like whenever I'm going for deploying any kind of VM creation on Microsoft Azure. So you can always start with the concept code and network. Then you can later you can move to a VM, or it's mean you can decide the location or the region you are implementing the VM, or what is the size of the VM, or understanding the price tag, or understanding the storage, or what is the type of the operating system you want. So these are the few factors as a system administrator or as a cloud administrator you need to consider when we are going for deploying any kind of a VM. We cannot it's you cannot if you don't have a proper planning, and if you're trying to implement a VM, and you cannot go and ask the customer saying that, hey boss, tell me what is the operating system I need to you need, or your requirement, because you are in a kind of a project implementation. In the middle of the project, you cannot go back and ask the customer saying that, hey boss, tell me what is the operating system you want. So whenever you're going for any kind of a deployment model, you need to have a pre deployment checklist is to be available with you. So that will be handy with you, that will be approved list needs to be available with you. Then you can go for a deployment. So these are the few factors generally I used to follow whenever I'm going for any kind of a deployment. Like I need to have a complete details about the networking. Network means that what is the IP address to be used for my VM, what is the VNet to be used, what is the subnet to be used, and is there any network security to be enabled. And I need to have a some standard name for my VM. I cannot give a name like a Robin, or I cannot give like a name like a Cristiano Ronaldo or a Messi for my VM, right? So we need to have some standard name which has been matching with your organization, which has been matching with your department. So you need to have a standard name to be available in the organization, and you need to have a proper understanding also, right? Where you're going to implement or where you're going to host this VM. The reason it's been like, I'm just giving a scenario. It's been like you're trying to create a VM in a Canada location. Now all your user is just think like it's been sitting in a uh, uh, Canada. Sorry, all the users is sitting in a Australia, and you're trying to implement your server in a Canada. Obviously you may go for, or you may be facing a latency kind of issues in a real scenario. So you need to have a proper understanding which data center you're going to implement this VM, and what is the configuration you need also, because size is it's also matter, because based on the size the price cost is been involved here, right? So you need to have a proper understanding about what is the size or what is the configuration it's been required for your VM also. So these all are important factors you need to consider when you're going for deploying in a operating system. Now, let me start to give you some idea about how about all these topics. Now, starting on with a network means that whenever you're going for configuring any kind of VM, let me take you into whiteboard in a simple method. Let me draw and explain it on the whiteboard. I hope you can see my screen now. Yeah. Now we are in a kind of a situation. Now the customer is thinking, or the customer is saying like, hey Robin, I need a operating system, or I need to have some information about. I hope you can see my screen. One second. Right, I hope you can able to see my screen now. Yeah, now we are going to discuss about a topic called what are the factors you need to consider when you're going for implementing a VM on in a Microsoft side. So can you just comment it on in a chat window? What are the points if you are in an engineer and if you are a cloud administrator, you will consider when you want to deploy an operating system? Now I'm giving a scenario like you're working for a medical research company. Customer is saying like, hey admin, I need an operating system. I need a VM. Can you comment it on the chat window? What are the questions you are going to ask the customer? Can you just comment it on the chat window? Now think like you are working on this kind of a scenario. Now your customer came and told like, hey Eric, I need a VM for my organization. Can you comment it on the chat window? What are the questions you are going to ask me? Think like I am your customer. Now I'm telling to all batch, I need an VM. So you need to configure and give to me. Budget allocation. Okay, good. So you'll be asking the first question he is going to ask about the price tag. Okay, nice. It's very good. Okay, good point. Okay. Now we got one answer. Can you others also? Can you just comment? No, no possible. That might use a cloud. No. Number of the possible customers that use. Okay, you may be thinking from a point of the user point of view. Number of the users is going to use. Okay, good. What is the application is going to use? That's a very interesting answer. So you need to application, budget and purpose of a VM. I think the user and this one has been covered. How much resource you need? Okay, resource detail. That's called configuration detail. Okay, service to be offered. That's called offered. It's called a service is going to configure inside that. Okay, good. Now let's wait for others also to respond to that. I'm just waiting. I hope all of us got the question or a scenario here. So yes, how much means service offer, duration for the VM, security of the system, yes, location of the customer, region to create. Okay, it's been yes. So we got a couple of answers here. Now let me take some uh, relevant or it's been like important points here. Okay. Now if I'm taking a VM, the first question you are going to ask is about what is the operating system you want, right? So if I'm taking about the configuration you need or the I need first I'll check what is the configuration I need, right? I hope all are agree with this point, right? So we need to have a complete idea about what is the configuration is needed. So it can be a V2 or it can be D2 or it's the what is the kind of operating system you want to use it in a customer place, because you need to have a proper information is needed, like what is the size of the VM is needed, right? So generally if you may be taking this one uh, based on your customer requirements. Now I'm just giving a scenario. It's been like whenever you're going for purchasing a car, you may be having a different requirements, right? Few people may be using for a SUV model, and few people may be having some car or some vehicle which can be used for off roads, right? Or I'm just giving a scenario like your mobile. Few people will be thinking like, hey, I need a mobile. I need to make a call to my girlfriend or my mom or a dad, right? Now, few people may be having other kind of a requirement, like I need an Apple phone, I need a smartphone which having all kind of a facility, right? So you may be having a different requirements we have, right? Now, similar way when it is coming to a operating system or similar means coming on IT infrastructure also, this system or the server or the virtual machine may be going to use by different members or different client, or the client may be having a different approach or a different requirements also. So what basically computer or the Microsoft Azure is done, it's like based on the customer requirement, Microsoft is given a flexibility to select the different models. Similar like how you selected your mobile. Like if you're going for an iPhone, you may be having a different versions, right? When you're going for a car, you have maybe having different variety of models available, right? Or even your operating system also have different versions is available, right? Or in your TV, you may be having a different like 32 inch, 34 or 40 or HDMI or VDI. There are different options, smartphone or Android. There are different versions of TVs available, right? Similar way, when you are creating a VM also, based on the customer purpose, they will be able to select a different configurations. Now you may be getting a question where I can able to create this one. Now I'm just taking you to a Microsoft portal. Right now I'm switching this window into the secondary monitor where the portal is being hosted. Now the moment I'm trying to create a VM, I have an option to select the configuration. So right now this is the window. Don't worry about from where I got this window. Don't worry, I'll teach you that. Right now I'm discussing about the size part. Right now you can able to see there is a size is given here, right? You can able to see like it's given like there is a model called D2 and version 3, and it's giving like a virtual vCPU means it's been a virtual CPU, and it's giving a configuration of 8 GB RAM, and there is a price tag also it's available. Now if you select all size, it's been taking to a window which has been giving you all type of the model or configuration is been supported. Right now if you can see here, there are model you can able to see like a D series. There is a beautiful explanation also given. This kind of a model as admin you can use for a normal purpose. Now you can able to see like other model also B series. Hey, this is can be used like if the customer is need a high compute CPU performance is needed. If any user is been looking like a high CPU performance, give this model to him. Now like this way you can able to see different models available here. Instead of all the configurations available in single model, user getting or the admin is getting a flexibility to select different configurations. For example, like I'm a user, my requirement is like I need a 2 CPU and 4 GB. I need to just click it here, I just select it here. That's all. Now if I need a different one, it's very up simple. Go to the other configuration. I need a E series. Select here, select it here, add it here. Now you may have to notice one more point here. Right now this price tag is got changed here, right? Now the amount is being changed to 10,000 rupees. The end of this session, you need to understand your cost of the VM or the cost of the service is been directly connected with the what is the configuration you're using. I hope the point has been clear to you. It's not that all the configuration is got the same amount. No, this is similar like your mobile, right? You go for, if you're going for a normal model, you're getting mobile for X price. When you're going for a higher configuration, you're getting for a Y price, right? Similar way here also, based on the configuration one, based on the customer uh, selection, all the VM has been coming with a different configuration for you. I hope it's been clear to you. Any question, anyone? Okay. I request all the members to comment it, so at least I can ensure we all are on the same page. Now, there's a first point you need to remember. Now, second point you need to remember here. Now, I think people maybe got a question here. Security has been like what is the type of the model you are selecting, Kamrul? Like depends upon what level of security options you are enabled. Yes, you have an option to customize also. It's like you have option, right? And so you have option for customizing here. So all this configuration option is been available here, like based on your RAM, data disk, you can able to select it from here. Security, I'll try to cover it possible. Like maybe we are planning for a different session on cloud security. There are different event we are planning. So it's completely end-to-end cloud security. We have a different sessions we are planning. So uh, please follow the Discord channel link. So you'll be getting all the latest one. So next month we are advanced version of couple of programs also we are it's been planning. You will be getting notification also. So keep on following us. So we have a separate session for uh, Azure security. We are planning a couple of session on hybrid computing, separate session on networking, compliance part. There are different sessions we have. So Surag is already shared a link here. So request you to share, request you to follow, request you to subscribe. So because all this only it's been the live latest programs we are hosting, because the agenda or the vision of our organization is to enable you on the Microsoft Azure cloud platform. So this is the link we have. So in case if you are the first time if you are using this one, follow that page and uh, request you to share to your friend circle also. Maybe this event or this program may be helpful for your friends also to move is their career or it's been a journey on the cloud platform. So this is it's completely enablement program. So share with your friends as well. Now let's come back to this topic. Right now, the all discussion is around configuration of VM. Now, I know maybe most of the members here maybe got a questions here. Like we are in a kind of a situation. Now, Robin said like you have an option to uh, select an option based on the customer or based on the customer requirement, right? I hope you can see the presentation. In case if it's not there, let me um, share it again. Right now, this is the point we have discussed, right? It's like based on the customer requirement, we have an option to select different configuration. It can be a general purpose or it can be compute optimized, or you have option for a memory and you have a storage or a GPU. There are different model you will be able to select it. And right, so you can able to see there are different versions or a type of the VM also you can able to see. There are some streams people may be thinking like what is the stands for B or a D. It's nothing, it's a model of this one. You have an option for creating a customization of the VM. Yes, you can able to do a customization. I'm just coming to that point only. Possible after this slide, I'll go back to the whiteboard and then I'll discuss Eric your question. Now, this is the model we can able to select this one. Now, end of this session, you need to understand the price tag or the commercial or the amount is directly it's been linked with what is the configuration you are selecting and which data center you are selecting also. These are the two uh, factors you need to consider when you are going for any kind of a deployment model. That's one point you need to remember. Second point you need to remember, now you created a VM. I'm just taking you to a kind of a scenario. For example, like you created a VM in your Microsoft portal. For example, like you created a VM with X configuration. Now, after some time, your client or a customer is coming and saying like, "Hey, Eric, I need a different configuration. This configuration is not matching with my requirement. My application is not performing well." So we are in a kind of a situation where you may have to do a reconfiguration of your VM. So we got a requirement from a customer saying that we need to reconfigure your VM. So you may be having this question maybe in your mind right now. Is it possible to reconfigure a VM once it is deployed? maybe most of the members may be having this question, and few people is not purposefully maybe not posting this question on the chat window. So the answer for that question is yes, we can able to do reconfiguration of a VM at any point of time. For example, like you configured with a 2 GPU or a 2 CPU. Tomorrow customer is coming and saying like, hey Robin, I need a 4 CPU. Robin, I need a 16 GB of RAM. You may be getting this kind of a different requirements or a concerns or a questions or demands from a customer, right? So you may be having this kind of a question in your mind. Is it possible for you to reconfigure this VM? Yes, we can able to do. But there is a one point always you need to remember. In case if you want to do any reconfiguration of your VM, once it is deployed, now this is something like you started driving your car. Now in between someone is saying like, hey, we need to change the uh, vehicle tire. Can we do it without stopping the car? Now I'm a user. I got a car. I'm traveling from New Zealand to Canada by car. Now in between is like Eric and came and told, hey Robin, we need to change the front tire. Can I do it in a live in a running condition? If it is a Hollywood movie, I would have done, right? And like while driving itself, I can change my car tires and all, right? But in a normal scenario, we need to stop your car. Then we need to do all this kind of a reconfiguration of changing the car, right? I hope you're agreeing with this point or you're agreeing with this live example, right? Do you have any different opinion? I hope I'm trying to communicate properly and you'll be able to understand that. I'm giving a scenario, something like you have created a VM. Now customer has been uh, uh, coming with a requirement is saying that, hey Robin, I need a different configuration. So it's not possible in a live condition. So in case if you are getting this kind of a requirement, we need to ensure that the VM or the compute which currently are hosted is been a stop condition. So the point is like in case if you want to scale it or you need to scale down or if you want to do any kind of a reconfiguration and you need to have a you can have a possibility to reconfigure the VM. The point you need to remember, you need to ensure that your VM has been moved in a stop condition. VM has been moved in a stop condition and then you can able to do a reconfiguration of the VM. Now the point you need to remember, you cannot stop the VM as it is. Now, end of this session, you may be working a cloud environment and you cannot go and tell your boss like, hey, Robin told in the morning, like we can shut down the VM and we can configure it, reconfigure the Azure VM. No, that is not the right practice because most of the organization may be following a ITIL concept for all operations. It's called, you maybe heard about the term called ITL. So if you want to make any kind of a reconfiguration of the infrastructure in your organization, you need to have a proper change request to be available or it's been approved. It's not that I'm interested for making a change configuration, so I can go and make it. No, that's not the right way of approach this one. So if you work in a cloud scenario or in an operation scenario, if you're trying to make any configuration changes, you need to make sure that you have a proper change request with a downtime is been approved. In case if you're not doing this one, you will be in a trouble, and your team will be in a trouble, and your boss also will be in trouble. So you need to ensure that you are following a proper um, change management, or it's been the proper ITL process for your operation row. Is not that you can just simply go and change the configuration. That's not been recommended. That we cannot do also. Now, I hope it's been clear to you. Now, let's go back to this slide. I think already we are shared. So I think it was on a white mode. That's the reason we were not able to see it. Okay. Now let's do it. So this is the point right now we have been discussed, like the size of the VM. Now we discuss like what will happen like if I need to make a restaging of my site. So the point you need to remember, in case if you are going for any kind of a modification, this one you need to ensure that there is a upgrade or a downgrade or a scale up or a scale down can be done with the help of a proper change request. That's the one point you need to remember. Now generally this is the option generally we are using, like once the VM has been created. I'll show you like from where you can able to create changes. Now another point you need to remember, it's about the naming part. Now when you're configuring a VM, you need to have a proper name to be available. We cannot give a name like Messi or Ronaldo or Ronaldinho, or it's a Robin or Eric, or it's been like X or Y or Thierry Henry, or it's been like what is the other football names I forgot. Okay, so soccer has been coming, so we cannot give this kind of a name for in a productions VMs, right? Because you may be the person maybe implementing or deploying a VM, but end of the day, maybe your juniors or your support level team may be going to manage this one. So we need to have a proper name to be given to a VM. Typically when you are going for a name for your organization or for a VM which you are hosting on a Microsoft Azure, we'll be using some kind of a keywords uh, for giving to the name. So if you're seeing this one, you will be able to identify what is the type of the VM, or where it is been using. So this kind of model you'll be able to use. So right now in the screen, you are seeing some guidelines or some input which you can able to follow in your organization. I'm not saying that this is the only name or the input can be used in your organization. No, you can have a different approach also. Okay, this is the one standard line I'm following for my organization. Like I used to give like dev stands for the development, prod stands for the production, and QA for the quality or a staging. So this kind of different environment detail like depends upon where I'm implementing this one. Is it I'm using in a lab, or is it I'm using in a development side, or is it I'm using in a QA, or is it I'm using in a prod? Based on where I'm implementing this one, I used to have this kind of terminology, or based on I have a this kind of name I used to give. So if I'm giving a name, I'll be able to identify this one where I'm using this one, right? If someone is saying like a prod VM, so I can able to understand, yeah, this is been like this is been used for so and so uh, production scenario, so I'll be able to identify this one. Now there's a one point, one term you can able to use. Now additional to that, along with your name, you if you're interested, you can able to uh, you can able to you can able to add additional information also, like where you're able we are configuring this one. It's been like, is it configure it in west US or or in north Europe or Canada. You will be able to give this location name also along with your prod or along with your environment. You can add two more keywords saying that it has been deployed in US or this has been deployed in UW. So you will be able to identify, yeah, Robin has been deployed production server in the US West or US East. You will be able to identify. Now, along with that, you can able to add some additional link like a prod, or it's been what is the role it's been configured. I'm just giving a scenario here. This is one name I've been given here. Right now, if you are seeing on a screen, one name I given for my VM, like a dev, this one. Can you tell me if you're seeing this name, dev USC, what your understanding with from this name? Can you just comment it on the chat window? If you're seeing like a dev USC web BM01, if you're seeing this one, you will be able to, in the first impression, you are going to get it's been like, yes, Robin is using a development server, right? The first three word, it's been like a development. And this has been deployed in the US Central South. And this has been using a web server. And this has been using a BM01. It's having only one VM, right? Very easy to understand, right? You're agreeing with this point? You can use a different pattern also. Okay, I hope you're agreeing with this point, right? You're able to identify this, right? So it's been easy, or as an admin, if you're seeing, or if you be able to identify where we are using, what is the reason I'm saying this one? Because you think from a broader perspective, like tomorrow you may be working as a cloud administrator where you are going to manage 10,000 VMs, or it's been more than that. Now you cannot have all the VM to be given name with a server one, server two, or server three, right? It's not possible, right? Because it will be very difficult for you to connect individually, log into each VM and check this one, right? So you need to have some valid, or is a there is a standard VM name to be in place. You cannot connect it to individual VM and check these details, right? So that's the reason you need to have a standard details to be available, or details to be in place. So with the help of that, you will be able to identify this. Uh, any question on this one? Now, naming part, there are some restrictions we have, like if you are using for BM, 15 is the maximum number we can able to go for it, and you can have a 64 characters also. These are the some character limitations we have in case if you are using for VM. Now, that's about the naming part. Right now, we understood the location. Now, these are the other point you need to consider from the OS perspective. Now, you need to have a or the OS or a network perspective. Now, when you configure VM, you may be knowing like there is a lot of uh, network port, or there is a lot of network port is been generally used in a communication. So you cannot open all the port. What do you mean open means? Open means that you cannot allow all the connections on your VM. So you need to have a kind of some network restriction, because you need to have some kind of a network security to be in place. So with the help of that, you will be able to define like this communication is only for accessing so and so application, so and so port number, so and so protocol. You need to have some kind of a restriction for that, and you need to know what is the operating system you are going to use it. You need to have a complete idea how many disk you need, how many disk you need for the operating system, how many disk you need for a data drive, how many disk you need for a backup drive, how many disk you need for other application drive or a archive drive. So you need to have a complete information to be in place, and what is the who is you are going to communicate with this. So these are the few other point you can keep in your mind when you're deploying a VM. So you need to ensure that you are covering or you are validating all these points or factors when you are deploying your operating system. Now, when you're moving on the other part, your location also it's been very important. Now, when you're deploying a VM, generally it's been like based on the customer requirement, based on the user where this has been hosted, the user requirement is been, or we need to ensure that the customer is been configured. It's like it cannot have if the all the user is from central India, there is no point of configuring your VM in a other regions, right? So it's whenever you're going for deploying a region, because it's mandatory that, for example, like if I'm creating a VM, I hope you can see the screen now. Whenever I'm going for creating a VM, it's mandatory that I need to define which location I am implementing this VM, right? Right now, if you can able to see on the screen, right now you can able to see there is an option you are seeing on the screen like called region. It's saying that, hey Robin, tell me where you want to create this virtual machine, right? You may be able to see here, right? So based on the user, based on the where my customer is being located, based on that I'm getting a flexibility to select the data center. For example, I'm selecting a central US. So central US, the VM is being created, right? But the point you need to remember here, based on the region also, the pricing is been going to change. Right now you can able to see on your screen, we have selected a Windows Server 2019 data center, and we selected a CPU configuration here. Right now we understood based on a configuration, there is a price tag is being going to be changed. Now addition to that, based on which country you are implementing this one, you can able to see there is a loading a price. You can able to see the price or the amount for that VM also it's been changing. Right now the central India, so you are getting almost 5,000 rupees. Now if I'm moving this one into Brazil, you may be getting a different price tag. See, it's been amount is been changed to 8,000 rupees. It depends upon the resource availability, depends upon the skilled resource, depends upon many other data center factors. This amount is being going to change this one. It's not that I love some countries, so I can deploy an operating system in that. I can host that operating system in that country. No, that's not the right way of this one. You need to consider the users where it's been located. Second point, it's like always I say from a business point of view or the finance point of view, you need to ensure that what is the cost also it's been charging for this. So this is the another point. Always as a admin or always as a architect, you need to consider in your mind, right? You need to have a proper um, uh, understanding about the location also where you're going to place your VM. Now, location choice, it's been like there is a region details, it's been available or already we had a discussion on that. Now, you need to remember one more point. There is a price difference it's been between the location, and another point you need to remember, all data centers are not supported all configuration also. So before making or submitting any architectural diagram or a configuration plan to a leadership, ensure that that particular region is been supporting that configuration also. How will you find out that? You can go to Microsoft portal and you can type like Azure region products ways. You can able to select, so you will be able to identify whether that configuration or whether that region has been supporting that feature. Otherwise you will be in trouble because you submitted a architect diagram and your implementation team is trying to implement in some configuration in Brazil or some configuration in Canada. If the region is not supporting that, finally this will be like a boomerang, right? You will be going to get a hit from the management saying that, hey, you are the person who decided or you are the person done all architect, and now the complete the implementation team is saying like this is been not supported, this product is been not supported on that region. So now if you're selecting here, you will be able to identify all the product here, whether it's been supported, whether it's been a preview version, or whether it's been not supported. This kind of a uh, consolidated or the summary or it's been kind of information you will be getting from this page. So you need to ensure that you are referring this page, so otherwise you will be in a trouble when you are implementing any kind of a VM here. Any questions so far, anyone? I'm just pausing for a minute. So in case if you have any question related to whatever topic has been covered last couple of minutes, if you're good, you can press a like button or you can just put in a comments. It's been good and clear, and we can move to the next portion. If it is not clear, post your questions, or if you want to debate or if you want to have some kind of a discussion, welcome. We can have it. There's not an issue. Few people has been commented. Now we have a good batch here. So I request everyone to comment it on the chat. So I need to ensure that majority of the members has been clear with the topic so far we have covered. So we don't want any of our members is to be go back to your office or go back to your home without understanding this one. Assuming that the service another region can be the VM, yes, we can able to move the subscription to another region also. Yes, we have an option has been available. We can move the resource group or the resource into another region also. So the cost will be, the price will be changed after the move. We can have the possibility for that, doing that. So one doubt is load balancing and redundancy architecture, the Azure data center features has been provided to your customer. Prabal, it's been this generally has been considered under availability kind of topic. So this availability has been generally provided in different layers. So which has been starting from the VM level to the region level or in a geographical level also. So generally this has been like in a VM level, you will have a this kind of availability has been available, and in a region level, you allow each regions having some kind of a availability or redundancy mechanism you have, or in the data center level, you'll have a concept called VM availability set and a VM availability zone, and a geographical level also will have. So by default, as an admin, you have an option to select how the redundancy has been to be configured in the host level. Region level onwards, it's been taken care by the Microsoft itself. In the VM level, if you're implementing in a VM level, first level is been like you're configuring the disk. You have a SSD premium or a standard kind of SSD, you can able to configure it. That may be giving like a 99.9 or a 99.5 percentage kind of uptime. Then on top of that, you have option for selecting an availability option called redundancy option called VM availability set and availability zone. On top of that, you have a region level of redundancy structure we have. Now, if you want to have any load balancing, you can go for Azure load balancer or it's other load balancing features are supported on the VM. Now let's move to the next part. Let's try to create a VM. Let's uh, let's create that. Let me connect back you to Microsoft port. Give me a second. Now let's try to create a VM. So this whole topic we've been covered. Now I think this is the one option has been left for us. That's called a pricing model. So this will be discussed after implementing a VM. Now let's consider a scenario. You are in a customer place and the customer is thinking like they want one VM to be configured with Windows Server 2019. Now we'll do a demo of this one, how this can be created. Now later point we'll be moving to a different aspects of configuration of VM. Right now let's go and create a simple VM on a Microsoft side. Now let me take you to the whiteboard first. Let's do a planning of this. Then let's go for the connection one. Now this is the scenario. Right now we are going to implement. So you are in a customer place. Customer is saying like they want a VM to be created. So what is the operating system they are looking? They are looking for a Windows Server 2022. So I'm creating a VM here. Okay, creating a VM. What is the operating system I'm looking? I'm seeking operating system of Windows Server 12. Now let's go back to this portal. Now how will you create this one? If I'm a user here, I'm setting a user. Okay. Now if it is on-premises one, we used to connect your monitor into physical server and we used to create, right? Right now we need to create this VM in a North Europe data center. This is the requirement we have. Now let's try to do that. Okay. I'm just sharing the Microsoft Azure portal. Right now, I hope you can see my screen. I've connected to Microsoft portal. I then validated this one. Right now, I'm using my friend account. I've been created this one. Now, in case if you want to create a VM, I can have a multiple option can be used. Now, one option is like in the left side top of your resource panel, I'm getting an option called create a resource. I can just click on the create a resource. This will take you into virtual machines and kind of option. This is one option you have. Or you can go to the search bar. There you can type an option called virtual machine. You can just type it a virtual machines here. You can able to select it here. Right now there is one virtual machine has been created. So you'll be getting a message saying that, hey admin, there is a one virtual machine has been already created. Now another option, you can go to all services, go to the compute tab. Inside that you have a virtual machine option is here. You can select it here also. So always been pointing to the same location only. So we have multiple options or multiple methods you can follow for getting this virtual machine. Right now I'm selecting an option called create. I'm saying like I need to create a virtual machine. Now there are a couple of mandatory details you need to give it when you're trying to create a VM. So you can able to see there is a star mark. You can able to see for all this option, right? Right now you when you selected an option called create a virtual machine, there is some star tick mark you can able to see on the screen. So it's saying that, hey Robin, it's mandatory that you need to provide this information. Right now it's called a subscription is a mandatory. Now it's asking, Microsoft is asking, hey Robin, I understood you're trying to create a virtual machine. Tell me which subscription you're going to use for a billing purpose. Yesterday we understood what is the importance of a subscription, right? It's something for a billing purpose. Now, in case if you have a multiple subscription, if it is available in an organization, you have an option to select that where or which department you're going to do billing. This may you already may be knowing. It's like when you work in a operation scenario in an organization, right? Now you can just give me a second. Now right now you can able to see you it's mandatory that you need to provide a subscription details. So I provided like the VM or billing should be done within a training budget. Now, if you already have a resource group or a container has been created, you can select it that. In case if it is not the, you can select it a new also. For example, like I'm saying like this is like for AZ104 container. I'm selected this one. Now I need to give some meaningful name for my VM, saying that it's called a development servers. Server's name is been located in North Europe. I'm just giving like a North Europe. This is being using for a web server, and the server name is going to be like a server one. Now, if you're saying this one, you will be able to identify which location this has been created. Now, I'm giving an option like I given a name. So if you are able to identify this one, I can able to do with the help of this naming conversion. Now, this is the place where you can able to select the region. So as I said, the pricing needs to be checked. Second one, it's like we need to check which location the user has been located also. I'm seeing like it's been North Europe. So this is the option I will selected. Now, someone was asking about the availability or return mechanism. So it's asking like how you want to set availability on this one. Right now I'm saying like I don't need any availability here. Right now I'm selecting that security tab, everything it's been configured as it is. Now this is the place where we can able to select the operating system. What is the operating system the customer is needed? Now I'm selecting the option. Now I selected it's been Windows Server 2090 data center one. Now you need to give an option like what is the username and password we need to use for connecting this one. I'm giving a username like a trd admin, and right now you may be able to see there is a green tick mark you can able to see. It's like if all the configuration or the validation is been successful, you will be getting some error message. For example, like if I'm trying to use some other username or something which it's been error, you will be getting error message saying that hey admin you cannot use this one because this is admin is the username is been reserved by default by the Microsoft, so you cannot use that. So I'm giving like a training admin password. It's been very confidential, so I'm not sharing here. So you need to give some confidential password. Now it's been saying like what is the incoming or what is the inbound rule you need to allow. I'll tell you why this rule is being selected here in another session, or possible in if you're getting a time I'll discuss in the later point. Right now I'm saying that I'm allowing RDP protocol here. Now you have other options here. Is saying that what is the type of the disk you want. So typically you will be getting a three mode of a disk options you will be getting here. You can able to see like you have a premium SSD, you have a option of Microsoft this one standard SSD. So in a mostly there is a three mode of disk technology it's been using on a backend. You can able to see like there is a premium SSD has been available. Premium SSD has been using like premium SSD generally has been using like you have a mission critical kind of a. One second. You can able to see there is a premium SSD option you can able to see. This option generally will be selecting like when you want to configure some mission critical applications or a mission critical workload or mission critical uh, components if you want to use, then you will be going for a premium SSD. So other two option like a standard SSD, it's been a uh, option you generally using like uh, you'll be using like it's like if you are configuring IaaS or a web server if you are using that kind of a situation, uh, we'll be using a for option called a standard SSD. The standard HDDC type of a disk technology generally we'll be using like it's like a legacy kind of a model where if you don't have any kind of a non-critical workload to be hosted, that kind of a situation you can go for a standard HDD kind of option. And this is basically like what is the type of the disk technology you want to use it this one, and you can able to select saying that in case if you're decommissioning a VM, do we need to delete this uh, do we need to delete this disk along with that, because whenever you're creating a VM uh, along with the virtual machine, your option also it's been uh, disk also it's been created. Now in case if you're decommissioning a VM, we cannot keep disk alone on the portal, right? Because there is some charge will be there. So if you want to do this one, you can able to select it from here itself. Now I'm selecting all these options are default one. Now in the bottom one, you may be having a option called data disk. So data disk is something like whenever you're creating a uh, VM on your system, by default only two disks will be created automatically. One will be created for your operating system, second will be created for your page file on the Windows side, or if you are using Linux or a Unix scenario, it will be using for a swapping purpose. So in case you the customer is looking for some additional data disk, for example like the customer is thinking like, hey, I need one additional disk for uh, SQL database, or I need some additional disk for log file, or I need additional disk for other applications or a customer data, then if you want to create that, then that can be able to do with the help of this option. Additional hard disk or additional disk can be created here. So there are two options you will be able to see it here. One is been like you are getting a flexibility to create a new disk, or you are getting an option to create a X, or you may be getting an option to attach existing also. Already if you have a BHD, or if you already have a disk has been available, virtual disk has been available, you have an option to map the existing disk which is already available in your infrastructure also. So in case if you want to map that, you will be able to do that. Now right now I'm giving selecting all these options is as default. Now if you go to Microsoft networking tab, now we need to communicate this VM to other network also, right? Internally the communication is needed. So I'm creating a bnet here. I'm saying that this is the using for the HR network, and I'm going to use a address range is been 10.1.0.0.1. This is the range I'm using with a subnet of 24. Is saying that if I'm using this the network range, I'll be assigned with a 65,000 IP address for the network pool. Out of that, I'm slicing this down to 24. That's a subnet. From this subnet or from this pool, there is a one IP address will be assigned to my VM. So you don't need to complicate right now here. So select it as default. Now management option, you will have some kind of additional tools will be here. I'm just enabling or selecting as it is. Now in the review tab, you'll be getting a complete summary of this. Right now I just got some errors here. I'm just because we selected this one. So in the review tab, it's been giving a consolidated summary of the details. Rest of the options will have different sessions or event we'll be discussing in a detail. Few session is been coming under network part, so we'll be able to decide it in the later point. So we'll do that. Right now, if all the configuration is good, you will be getting a green color message here saying that validation has been completed. We are good to go for the deployment part. Now I'm just creating here the VM. Now I'm selected. I'll be getting all the summary of the configuration you are selected. In the bottom, you will be able to get a one more option called download a template for automation. For example, like if you want to configure the similar kind of configuration for your other VM, then you will be able to download the template. So with the help of that, you will be able to configure some additional configuration for your VM also. So in case if you want to do any kind of additional configuration, you can able to do with the help of that. So you can able to download the template, and with the help of that, you will be able to go for additional configuration also. So this is the way generally this has been creating. Right now you are getting an option called create. Now once it is click this create button, this will be starting with a notification on the notification area saying that, hey admin, I'm initializing the provisioning of your VM as per the configuration you are selected here, right? So right now deployment is been started. So deployment, you can able to see it here. Now it will generally, it will take 1 to 3 minutes for the deployment one. So let's wait. So let's wait. Right now you can able to see on the screen the development is been progressed. Right now you got a message on the screen saying that deployment has been configured, right? Eric is asking like, what is the purpose of delete on a VM portion? I'll discuss that right now. It's on the whiteboard. I'll explain you that what is the use of that. Okay, just give me just moving this question to bucket right now. And right now you can able to see you have created a VM right now, right? Now if I need to access this one, you can able to see, you can go to the virtual machine tab. This will be displayed the VM which has been created your subscription. You can able to see like a dev is been created is a virtual machine. This has been created under a subscription of training, and this has been created under a resource group called AZ104, and this has been created in the North Europe. And what is the current status? Thus VM is been a running condition, and this has been using a operating system of a Windows, and this is using a standard configuration of this, and this is using a public IP address of this, and it's been configured with a disk of 1. Now if you go to, there is a, you can able to see there is a 3 tick mark also. We can able to see there is a couple of admin options you will be able to get, like you can able to put some kind of a tagging. Like if you want to, for your identification, you can write a name here, some tagging you can able to write, hey, this is HRVM HR payroll database is been running. So for our identification, you want to put some kind of tagging, you can able to add it like HR payroll database. Now if you take this VM, tomorrow if someone, like for example, like right now Robin has been configured this one, tomorrow different admin has been coming and configuring this one. Now you need to find out who has been using this one. If you have some kind of a tagging here, it's been easy for them to uh, uh, identify this one. Right now this tagging is not updated here. Now if you want, you can add it here also, edit tag. Like it's, yeah, it's already there, like it's been used by HR tool. If you want, you can able to put a application owner name also. Application owner for this one, it's been Eric. He's been application owner is for this one. So in case if someone want to find out who is this application owner, he'll be able to find out this one, right? If you can just go to a tagging option, and we'll be able to find out who has been managing this server and who is the application owner for this one. You will be able to identify who is the real owner for this. In case if you're making any kind of a configuration change, it's been easy for you to track it. In case if you don't have a um, so that kind of options you can able to select it. Now if you go back to the old resource service world, right now you can able to see all resources option. You can able to see along with your EM, there is a couple of other resources also. It's been created here, right? You can able to see like there is additional option also. It's been created on the options here, right? You can able to see there is a lot of other component also. It's been created here. Now let's go back to the whiteboard. Now if you're seeing you, I'm just taking you to the whiteboard right now. I hope it's not overloading, right? I hope all are able to follow this one, right? I'm not making you too complex kind of a mode. I hope you're okay for that, right? Do you looking for a 2 minutes break? If yes, you can just comment it on the chat window, because we're almost 1 hour now. So if you're sitting and just feeling like I need to take a small break and just come back, so if you can just put in the can in the chat window. Okay. So do one thing, let's take a 3 minutes break and come back. Then we'll discuss about the VM management and the VM configuration one. Okay, let's take 3 to 5 minutes break and come back. Then we'll discuss about the rest of the points. So right now, I hope all are back. So before break, we had a discussion on how to create a VM. So right now the VM is in place. We created a VM with a North Europe location and all are comfortable with that also. Now let's understand what are the actions we have done so far. We created a VM, right? So what is the operating system we have used? We have used at the time of a creation of a VM, couple of actions we have been performed. What was the first action you have performed? Already we have started. I hope you can able to uh, hear us and you are able to see the screen also, right? Now, the first action which you have performed, it's been like the billing part, right? You selected what is the subscription you want. Second option we have selected which country we want to host this one. Right now you selected like North Europe is the data center or North Europe is the location you have selected. Then after that, what we have done, we selected the operating system you want. You got an option like you want it on a Unix or you want it on a Linux or it's on a Microsoft. You got a different option or a window for where you can select the operating system based on the customer requirement. Then you got an option for configure the size also. So right, based on the customer requirement, we got an option for selecting what is the size of the configuration you want. Then what is the next option you have done? We configured a networking also, right? You configure this VM is been going to be part of 10.1.0.0./16 is the network it's going to use it. Now, what is the next action you have done? You configure the type of the disk you are configured. Right now, if you can able to see here, end of this creation, there is a two disk is been created on this server. Right now, one you can see it's called OS disk, and you can able to see another disk called temporary disk also. Let's try to see that first. Now, addition to that, this VM has been assigned with a two IP addresses, right? You're already familiar with. There is a two type of address is been available that is known as a public IP address, and this got another address is called private IP address also. So what is the use of a public IP address? With the help of this, your operating system can able to communicate to the external world. That means to the internet can able to use it. Now, with the help of private IP address, this will be able to communicate internal resource. Can internal resource means that other VM which has been hosted inside your VM, or it can able to communicate with the Azure load balancers which has been available inside your VM. It can able to communicate with the storage account. It can able to communicate with the other VM which has been available inside your organization. It's clear. Now let's go back and connect. Now if you go back to the VM, now I'm just taking to the screen. Now if you're observing or if you're evaluating a VM here, you can able to see there's a couple of additional component has been created, right? You can able to see here for this VM, dev VM, there is one disk is been created, right? See here, you can see there is a disk is been created, and there is a network interface card has been created for this, and there is an NSG group is created, and this is got a public IP address also. Now, if I'm selecting this VM here, if you go to the overview tab, you are getting a summary of whatever configurations you are provided. Right now, you can able to see. Right now, this resource group is been created inside a AZ104 resource group. Now, someone has been asked in the morning, is there any possibility to change? Yes, you have an option for moving on option, right? For example, like if you want to move to another region or another resource group, you can use this move option. With the help of that, you will be able to change. For example, like when you configure the VM, the customer requirement was the VM to be hosted in North Europe, but due to some X or Y reason, customer is say came with another request saying that, hey Robin, we need to move to another location. Yes, we can able to do with the help of this. So the move is the option generally you are using, like in case if you want to go for any kind of a changes, then you can able to go for this one. Now another options you are able to see here, like what is the location it's been selected, or what is the subscription it's been selected, or what is the operating system it's been available, and you will be able to see there is a public IP address also it's been assigned for this. What is the use of a public IP address here? So with the help of a public IP address, you will be able to communicate, or you will be able to connect to the external world, right? Like if you want to connect, or if you want to connect to the outbound, or it's been need to connect to a external network, you can able to do with the help of this public IP address. Now this has been currently this VM has been mapped under the virtual network of HR, and you have it some DNS also has been configured here. Now if you're coming bottom, you are able to get some complete summary about what is the operating system and what is the version it's been using, and you'll be able to see like there is a what is the private IP address is been assigned. Right now we can able to see it's been assigned within a private IP address called 10.1.0.4. So this IP address generally using, like if you want to connect internally, so there is a typically two type of IP address generally we are using in internet. One is called a public IP address, generally the IP address which can be route in internet, that is known as a public IP address. Now the IP address which you cannot route in internet, generally it can be used internal network, is known as a private IP address also. Now there is a one point you need to remember here. The public IP address, it's not a free cost. You need to have a, there's some price tag you have. So it's not a free product. So you need to have a pricing is the cost is in the charging for the public IP address. Now for the private IP address, it's been a free of cost. You don't need to pay anything for that. There's the one point you need to remember. Now, right now, we configured a VM here. Now people may be getting a question, how to connect to this VM, right? Now, if you want to connect to the VM, in the top screen, you may be seeing an option called connect. Now, if I'm selecting here, generally you will be getting a three options here. One is called RDP, that's or RDC, something like RDZ. You may be people will be using a pronouncing like RDZ. So remote connect, you can able to use it. Or in case if you it's a Linux, or if you're using a putty kind of a software, you can able to connect with the help of an option called SSH. Bastion service is a kind of a Microsoft PaaS service. For example, like you want to remove all the public IP address of your VM, and you want to make it your VM has been more secure, then you can able to go for an option called Bastion service. So Bastion service generally it's been coming can be considered under a network security component. Now instead of connecting directly onto the VM, you can have some kind of a security mechanism in between your perimeter network and the external network. So that kind of situation, we can go for a bastion one. Now, possibly in the later network security session, I can have a more discussion or more information can be shared on how bastion service can be configured. Now, I'm going for an option called RDP. Now, if I'm selecting RDP option, you will be able to see there is a public IP address and the port number is given. Now, how I'm going to connect to this VM? I'll be connecting with the help of a public IP address. Right now, if you maybe notice here, I'm just taking you to VM. I'm connecting to your screen. Right now, you have configured a VM here, right? Now, we have created a VM. So now, right now we have a Windows operating system is available. Now I'm a user. It's sitting in central India. Now I need to connect it to this VM. Now, if it is a normal scenario, if it's in hosted in your own network, we used to connect RDP or RDC protocol, right? Now, if you're seeing this one, this VM is been configured with a two IP address. One is called a public IP address, and this will have a private IP address also it's been placed. Now, if I'm connecting, what is the use of a public IP address? If I need to connect to internet, I cannot use a private IP address. The reason it's like, if I cannot use a private IP address, the reason it's like, whatever private IP address I'm using here, this won't be routable in internet. If I'm taking a private IP address in your college days, you or in your normal operation days, you may be already studied. You will not have, you cannot use it in a uh, private IP address as a routable IP address in the internet. So you need to have a public IP address only can be used. Now, if I'm sitting a user, I'm sitting in India, and this VM is been currently is been hosted in a North Europe. Now, if I need to connect to this VM, how will I connect? I'll be connecting through a RDP protocol, and I'll be connecting with the help. I'll be using a protocol called RDP. And what is the IP address I'm going to use it here? Can you comment it on the chat window? What is the IP address I'll use it? Is it public IP address or is it a private IP address? Can you comment it on the chat window? Public IP address. I'm just getting a few answers. Only 4 people has been commented, so waiting the answer from everyone. It's been like, if you are in this situation and if you want to connect to this OS, what is the IP address you are going to use, or how will you connect? Only few people has been used. Only few people. I want more informations. I want more answers to be pasted on the comment box. Few people are not posting. Request everyone to comment it. Yes. So there are two scenarios we have. So most of the members is been told it's been like a public IP. Yes. In a normal scenario, if want to connect to this one, you need to have a public IP address only is the only option is available, right? You need to give a public IP address of your RDP. So you need to use, in case if you are connecting from external world, you need to connect RDP or you need to connect with the help of a public IP address. That is a normal scenario. But there are some situation I'm taking you to some advanced level. There are some situation if you have an on-premises network is in place, like you have already a data center, on-premises data center has been available and the users is been connecting from here, and if there is a VPN connection is been established, that's called a hybrid connectivity. It's called, if there is a hybrid network connection is been established in your organization, in that kind of a situation you will be able to use a private one. If there is no VPN is in place, you will not be able to use a private. Now, for your information, in case if there is any VPN is been established, VPN can be side to side or it can be P2S. If there is any VPN is been placed, virtual private network is been configured in your organization, in that kind of a situation, you will be able to use a private IP address. I hope I'm not made you too confused now. I hope it's been clear to you, right? End of this session, you need to understand, whenever you're creating a VM, by default, there is a two IP address has been created. One is a public IP address, that is a routable IP address in internet, and that got an internal IP address that's called a private IP address, which we cannot use in internet. That's only using for internal communication between multiple VMs or a resource within a VNet. Now, if I am a user, if you want to connect to this VM remotely, I need to use a public IP address. That is a normal practice. But if there is a VPN is established in an organization, then I have a flexibility to use a private IP address also. Clear? Yes. Now let's go back to the window or the portal. Now, right now we have configured it development servers here. We are trying to connect it here. Now, if I'm clicking a download RDP file, now we got an RDP file asking like it's going to connect to this VM. Now, if I'm connecting here, you got a screen here saying that we are going to connect to this server within a public IP address 168 dot this one. So if I'm the moment if I'm giving connect, it's got a screen here saying that what is the username and password to be used here. Right now, I'm getting a screen here. Wait a second. It's been now I got a screen like this. We got a screen like this. It's saying enter your password and configuration for this. So I got a screen this here. Now I'm just giving yes, I need to provide my whatever username and password which you selected or which you configured at the time of a creation. I'm giving my credential here. I given OK. Now the moment if I select it's been the username and password, it will get a screen where it can be it's been authenticating. I'll be given a here right now. You can able to see I'm authenticating with a username trg admin. Right now you can able to see on the screen. I think the screen is been a bit slow. Yeah, right now you can able to see there is a screen we got asking like do we need to connect it. So we given a username and password. I given yes. Now the moment if I given yes, you can able to see a message. It's been connecting, right? You may be getting a screen saying that this has been connected to the development server. Right now you can able to see it's been connected. Now you can able to see on the screen right now we have connected to the VM which has been hosted on in a Microsoft Azure. Right now you can able to see for an end user, uh, they are not understanding whether this VM is been configured in a on premises or in a colocation one, or it's been configured in a Azure or a VMware or a AWS, right? For a end user, this has been something like it's been a physical server, right? Right now you can able to see this IP address, you are able to connect it, right? Now if you want to connect, if you want to try, you can try it like also. It's not that only I can connect. No, can you just try to connect it from my from your laptop? Can you connect the Microsoft MSDSC and type my password? Not password, this IP address. I'm just pasted my server IP address on the chat window. Can you type MSDSC on your screen and type my public IP address? You will be getting this control one. Can you just try? Anywhere in the world you can connect it. Can you try Microsoft MSDSC and type my public IP address? Are you able to access? Go to the you will be getting a remote desktop and type this IP address over there. And can you just type connect? Are you getting any screen? Are you able to connect it to my VM which has been hosted? Yeah, it's been we got an Eric has been able to access this one. Eric, your one question has been pending. Okay, I didn't forget. So like deleting the VM. Okay, I'll be discussing that. So Eric is able to access. What about the rest of the members? Yes, on about to force me to okay, trying to force not good. So this is the way it's been configured. I hope it's been clear to everyone, right? Now let me go back to my VM, which been configured. Now if you're taking inside of your VM, you may be seeing like uh, it's similar like your normal window or normal screen only, right? So if you're seeing inside this one, I'm just taking you to the inside one. I'm just 1 second. Give me a second. So right now, if you're taking inside your VM, I'm just taking you to the disk point. Now, if you go to the disk window, I was saying like by default, there is a two disk is been created, right? Now, if you can see here, right now there is only two disk only. It's been by default. It's been created here. Right now, you can able to see there is a C drive is been created. Inside that, you have a uh, operating system is been created. Normal size will be 126 or 127 GB is the normal size is been assigned for this. And you have a temporary storage also it's been created. Generally, it's been a 16 GB. Now, temporary storage, one point you need to remember here, whenever you're working on any Microsoft Azure Windows system, temporary storage has been created for a page file in a Windows case. And if it is a Unix case, it's been used for SAP files. And C drive size is in a Windows case, it's been 127 GB. And if it is Unix case, it's been 30 GB also. Now, the point you need to remember, whenever you're trying to save any information on a temporary storage, by default, after rebooting your server, all the contents which has been available inside your temporary storage will be cleaned. So the point I'm saying, you are not supposed to save any information inside a temporary storage. I'm saying, even though if you're allowed to create a folder or a file inside a temporary storage, we are not recommending you to use this is for any kind of a data drive. The reason is like the moment if you reboot your Azure or if you done any kind of a forceful reboot using a Microsoft Azure portal, by default the contents inside your temporary storage will be wiped out. So the recommendation practice is like by default there is a two drive is been created. You have a C drive and you have a temporary storage also is here. In case if the customer is looking for any additional drive, you need to create a additional data disk. I hope it's been clear to you. For example, like if the customer is looking any kind of additional hard disk, you need to go back to your VM. You can go to the VM settings. Right now, you can able to see the virtual machine is here, right? You can click your virtual machine. Now you have an option called disk option. You are able to see on the left side of your settings, right? You need to select the left side, and you have an option for adding a additional disk here, right? You can able to add an additional disk here. Right now you can able to see create and attach a new disk. So you can able to add additional data disk. If the customer is looking additional LAN or additional disk, you have an option for adding additional disk. So end of this session, you need to understand. So end of the session, you need to understand by default, there is a two disk is been created and we are not supposed to save any data on the temporary disk, and temporary disk data will be cleared at end of the session. It's been clear. Okay. Now we have seen like how to add additional data disk also. Now let me go back to the whiteboard. Let me share some two concept also, and then we'll wind up the session for today. Right now we have seen an option for connecting to a RDP, right? So we have seen like how to connect to uh, VM can be connected in a Microsoft RDP or options, right? So there are two scenario we have. Right now, if you take your VM here, I'm just shared my whiteboard. Now, if you're selecting a VM here, we understood like there is a two IP addresses been by default it's been configured. It's called public IP address, and you have a private IP address also. So we understood a private IP address is been a it's a free, and public IP address is like there is some cost is involved. Yes, it's been cost is okay. Like if you have configured only one or two system or one or two VMs in your organization. Now, think from a customer point of view, where you have a thousand VM is been configured. Just take a scenario. It's like you have a thousand VM is been configured in your organization. By default, we understood like whenever we are creating any VM, by default you'll have a public IP address and you have a by default a private IP address also. It's been configured. So think from a point of view where you have a thousand VM has been created. All these thousand VM has been assigned with a thousand public IP address. Is there any concern or a challenge you have? Can you comment it on the chat window? Are you feeling like is there any challenge you're going to face if you're implementing this kind of a model in your infrastructure? Yes, we need to limit a public IP address. So what is the reason behind that? Why we need to limit this one? The reason it's been like Ahad is asking like or repeat a case. Okay. Now Ahad, I was saying uh, last couple of hours of a discussion, we understood it's like after deploying a VM, by default there is a public IP address, and by default there is a private IP address also it's been created. I hope you're agreeing with this point, right? By default there's a public IP address, and by default there's a private IP address also it's been created. You already seen in this existing VM, we got an public IP address of 10.1.0.0.4 and public IP address is 168. Some series is good, right? Now, Ahad, you think a point of view, you are in a customer place or you're working for a project where you have 1,000 VM has been configured. You are a system administrator and you configured 1,000 VM. Now, if I'm configuring 1,000 VM, we understood by default there is 1,000 public IP address also will be created or it's been mapped to VM, right? Right now, we came to know that public IP address is not a free product. There is a cost is been charged. Now, private IP is a free product. So I'm asking all the team members here, if you are in this kind of a situation, what are the concerns you are going to get it, or what are the challenges we have in front of us? Can you comment it on the chat window? Yes, Eric is saying like a cost is a one factor. Other than that, any other point or view or a thought you have? I'm saying there is a security concern also I have, right? Because if I'm a user, I'm trying to connect to internet using a public, right? I'm compromising my network for my organization, right? think like all the 1,000 mission is been exposed to internet. I'm doing some kind of a network security compromise, right? I hope you are agreeing with this one, right? Too many IP to monitor, and there is a chance of hackers is been entering to this one. If one user is making some mistake, even 1,000 VM out of one VM is made some mistake, I'm allowing the hackers or I'm allowing the external person to access my network, right? So there is a kind of a cost and there is a kind of a security also. It's been a kind of a in a trust kind of a situation. So in a normally in an operational point of view, uh, assigning a public IP address to all the VM is not the right practice. In a normally, if you're taking any organization, they may be using a different concept or an approach that is known as the first approach, generally known as a gem server or a gateway server. Now, in your organization, you have a multiple VM is been configured. Instead of assigning a public IP address to all the VM, right now you have all this VM is been assigned with a private IP address. By default, we all know by default there is a public IP address has been assigned. So generally, for providing a security or saving a cost in a normally in an organization, they will disassociate your public IP address. Disassociate is the terminology we are using in Azure, saying that whatever public IP address has been configured, I'm removing that one. How will you do that? You can go back to your Azure portal. You can just go to the VM. If I'm just trying to show you how we can disassociate. Disassociate means that we are removing the public IP address from the VM. Right now, if you selected the VM here, now if you selected this one, you go to the networking tab, or you will be getting an option called IP configuration. If you're selecting here, you are getting an option called associate or an option for disassociate. Yeah, we can go for a natting. That's in a firewall. That's a advanced level, right? So this is the first day. That's the reason I'm just going for a simple method. It's like we have a NAT, source NAT or destination NAT kind of options we can use. Right now I'm going for a disassociate, and you can able to see there is a floppy symbol kind of option you are able to see here. Save it. So right now what we are done, we have removed public IP address from your VM. Now, natting is the one option. I'm agree. So right now I have been removed this one. Now I'm a user here, right? Now, how will you connect from an external world? This is like public IP address is not here, right? So generally in that kind of a situation, we will be deploying a security hardened Windows servers in the perimeter network. I'll be deploying another server. This server will have a public IP address. This server will have a private IP address also. If any user want to connect to my internal network, they will be connecting with a public IP address of a server, and inside you will take an RDP to this VM. From here again you will take a internal connections. You will take a RDP. So this is the kind of a model generally we are using for connecting. So UPN is another option. Now, in case if you're Eric, you're connecting from your home during the pandemic time, we can able to use VPN kind of option. So technically, in a Microsoft Azure case, VPN can be one option. With generally there are three type of VPN is generally using. One is known as a P2S, site to site, and another one is known as Azure Express Route. Yes, another option which is called Bastion service. So Bastion service is the another option. Bastion has been coming to a picture right now. If you are seeing here, this is a kind of a security hardened server. This will have a BitLocker or a TPM chip, or it will have a Windows device guard. All kind of security measurements has been taken on this VM. Now the point here it's been like if you're using this kind of a gem server kind of a situation, all the OS management, or if you may be seeing like this is a kind of a ISAS product, right? You have a this is a kind of a ISAS product. Now, end-to-end management of the server is been coming under the scope of admin or the scope of us, right? Now, for avoiding this one, you can go for another method called Bastion service. You have an option called Bastion service. Bastion service is nothing. You will be getting a PaaS product that's called Bastion that will have a public IP address. You will have a private IP address also. So if a user want to connect, they can able to connect it here. So you will be able to connect using a Bastion service also. So, or another option, you can enable a firewall in the perimeter network and enable an option called natting. With the help of that, you will be able to route your traffic to the private, or you will be able to map your into a public IP address into a internal resource. So this is the way generally the uh, access is being provided on the VM side. Now, any questions on the compute part? Are we good? I think Eric was asking about one question about a disk one. Now, Eric was asking a question where we selected an option called disk, right? So the reason is like, now when you created a VM, we understood like disk is been created, OS disk, and you have a temporary disk is been created in your VM, right? So you have a disk is been available, OS disk also it's been available, and you have a temporary disk also it's been available, right? How this has been configured? This has been generally it's been configured with the help of so it's been created by default uh, options, right? By default it's been configured inside in your Microsoft this one. So along with that option is along with your VM, this option is been configured. So just give me a second. Now right now we understood this disk and temporary, and there is a lot of other dependent resources been created. Now, cost is one of a important factor that's been coming here, right? Because we are using this is a kind of a model called pay as you go model, right? So based on the consumption we are using. Now, how this payment or how the cost is been calculated? Now, it's been calculated in a two mode. One is known as a compute, and second one is called in a storage. So your total cost is been calculated, or this is a two pricing model we have, right? So the entire cost is been calculated based on the compute device you are consuming and based on the storage you are consuming. I'm giving a scenario here. I have created a VM, Eric. I'm coming to your point only, okay? I have created a VM in an organization. For example, like this I'm using for a development background. Now, end of the day, instead of deleting this VM, I'm just pressing a button called shutdown. Now, at the moment, if I'm pressing a shutdown button, my old compute resource will be moving in a off mode. So there will not be any charge for that. But at the same time, my storage will be allotted for my VM. So this IO operations or this storage component will be in active mode. So even though there are some situation, I used to get a query from a participant saying that, hey Robin, I kept my VM is in a shutdown mode, but there was some charge. The reason behind that, the moment if the VM is in a off condition, there will be some charge will be Microsoft is been charging for your storage account, or the storage disk is been created for your VM. Now, Eric, answering to your question, so there are some situation you're trying to decommission, or when you're trying to delete your VM, the option, the tick mark you are selected is asking like, when you're creating and deleting a VM, do you want to keep this disk is been pending in your Microsoft Azure portal? What is the reason? For example, like you have a disk available, that having a lot of data disk is available. There is a lot of customer data has been available. You're thinking like, I need to delete only the VM, but disk I need to keep it. So if tomorrow the customer is been coming and I can able to attach this disk to another VM, or I can recover using that disk. If you have any such kind of a scenario is been available in front of you, then you can keep your disk on your Microsoft Azure. So if tomorrow if I'm creating another VM called VM2, in the data disk you got an option like a attach an existing hard disk, right? So you can attach this existing hard disk and I can recover it. Eric, I hope it's been clear to you now. So it's asking like, do you want to delete automatically, or you need to keep the disk available for the future purpose? So by default, the option will be forcefully deleting. So if you are thinking like, no, Rick is thinking like, no, if there is any data disk, I need to keep it for the future purpose. If tomorrow some customer is coming, I can mount this disk into another VM and I can fetch my data. I hope it's been clear. Yeah, Eric has been commanded. It's been clear. Now, Ahad has been asking like, is there any proxy server? Yes, there is a proxy option is been available here that generally be done with the help of an option called app functions. There is a feature is been available, or there is a service is been available here. It's called app function. With the help of that, you will be able to configure a proxy service here. Now, last couple of days, um, we were trying to give you some insight about Microsoft Azure. So this we have 100+ services been available on the Microsoft Azure. So it's been very uh, difficult for us to complete all the 100 service in a week time. So all agenda for this event or this program, it's been like, we need to give you some kind of a spark which will enable you to go for further studies on a Azure side. So we covered or some fundamentals thought on the fundamental idea about a Microsoft Azure. I hope this event was it's been useful for able to help you to start some self-study or a learning on a cloud platform. Now, Laurent is asking like, is there any way to recover the VM in case accident? Yes, if you have a backup is in place, you have an option for recovering it from the. So you have an option is available. You need to have a backup. It's been placed. So you have option for recovering from the. Now, in case if your VM is been created, you can recover it from a backup. If in case if you have created any deleted any user account, by default, similar like your Active Directory Thomson interval, by default 30 days that user account will be available on the Microsoft portal. 30 days you have a cool off period available for recovering that. After that, it should be you'll not be able to recover it. And the group also, security group you cannot do, but 365 group you'll be able to recover also. So you have a option for recovering your VM, you have option for recovering a user, and you have option for recovering a group also. Surag, I think we need to pause the day, and we need to pause this event. This is not ending your learning or not limiting your. We just tried the first phase of this one. So keep following the Discord link. You will have a amazing events is been organized by our team on a different topics. It can be on a security, or it can be on infrastructure side, or architect side, and development side, or a Power BI side. So keep following us, and keep sharing this link. It's not, Eric, it's not the last day. Last day of this first phase of this training. You have another program is been coming. We are not ending this program, right? So this program AZ104, we are taking a pause for this. We'll be announcing the next portion of this one in the upcoming days. Okay. So yeah, I think Surag has been answered all. Sure. So we'll plan that. Put all this comment or what is the type of the program you're looking for that. Please update all that feedback on this. So I hope the all event was useful to you. I hope it was a fruitful to you, and we started in a very scratch level rather than going in a presentation mode and just finishing a topic. we tried to enable you. So hope this session was helpful for you. So put all the feedback on this feedback link, and that will enable or that will motivate us to come with a lot of new programs. So thank you, team, and there is a lot of team has been involved in the backend, and like Surag, Fatima, then Kushal, and many members he has been working on the behind the screen to arrange or coordinating this event. So thank you to all the team members who's been helping us for coordinating this one. So on behalf of the batch, I'm just uh, so thank you all the team members. So yeah, Surag, we can stop the recording. Yeah, Eric will be getting that. So all this has been getting that. Okay.